Hey, what's going on? It's Joey Myers from the Hitting Performance Lab. And in this video, we're going to go over Vlad Guerrero Jr. swing breakdown, or swing analysis, hitting mechanics, however you want to call it. And this is in right before the 2019 MLB Home Run Derby, which he is going to be a participant in. And in the video, we're going to look at, in some of the hitting analysis breakdown, is how to build more power. And specifically, some of the principles that I include in the Catapult Loading System. Things such as showing numbers, downhill shoulders, hiding the hands from the pitcher, the one joint rule, and a longer front arm shape. So let's first, in this Vlad Guerrero Jr. swing breakdown, let's go over the showing numbers. Now, there's some out there that don't like this showing numbers concept, or they call it shoulder loading, and they say that you can't do this at the elite level. Well, there are quite a few hitters, especially the ones that they talk about and use as examples, are showing their numbers. If you're a kinesiology nerd, then this is a protracting of the front scapula. And as you can see, Vlad here will show, he's already kind of showing, which we'll talk about in a second, why I would like he could actually make a little bit better what he's got. But he's already showing right away. You can see the 2 there. You can make out the 2 and half the 7 that's starting to come in there. You can't see the 7 from this view, but you can see the 2. You can see the 7 coming into play here. And then by the time he gets to his landing position, you can see both numbers clear as day, 2 and 7. And that is something that the best hitters do. Now, if we take and split screen him with Chris Davis, this was a video from last year. This is Vlad Guerrero this year hitting a 85 mile an hour curveball, sinker, or something off speed, something breaking. And over here, Chris Davis is hitting, I think this is a fastball that is a 94 miles an hour. So you can see Chris a little bit different. And this is what I wanted to allude to, is we call it a bounce. Okay, so you can see Vlad pretty much for the most part starts showing his numbers to the pitcher, doesn't move into it like you'll see Chris and Miguel Cabrera, you see Ted Williams, you see Babe Ruth, you see Jose Altuve, Mike Trout. They all kind of move into it. So with here, you can see Chris of the A's, he's not showing his number. He's got one number. But if he had 2 numbers, he's not showing either number until he starts to fall forward. And then you can really see him move in. We call this a bounce because they're going from showing their numbers to a bounce, bouncing right into the turn. And this is not something that Vlad's doing. I think Vlad could tweak this just a little bit and make that a little bit better. Now let's move on to the downward shoulder angle. One of the other elements in Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s swing breakdown, the principles that he uses on how to build more power, is the downhill shoulder angle, or the downward shoulder angle. Now, this doesn't need to be super big down. We're looking at between like a 6 to 10 degree down angle and range. Any more than that, then we create more of an upswing. We don't want to do that. And some players do without it, but this is a side bend. This is a very big part of locomotion, the spinal engine. You're going to get a side bend. You're going to get a extension, flexion of the spine, and you're going to get some axial rotation, which is why our right arm and left leg come forward at the same time when we walk. So you got the shoulders moving counter to the hips. So you're going to have those 3 elements in a spinal engine swing. And you'll see that Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s hitting mechanics will show that. So you can see as he gets to landing, you can see that back elbow, and this is usually how we teach it. One of the ways we teach it is to use the back elbow to steer the shoulders down. You can see over here with Chris Davis, same idea, except he bounces, as we talked about, bounces into it. And you can see he raises the back shoulder, and you can see this kind of downward shoulder angle at landing. And he'll start to flip as he goes there. But you can see this downward shoulder angle, or this side bending. Part of this has to do with, like what David Weck says of the weckmethod.com, the head over foot technique. So part of the purpose of the side bend is to get this head where in normal locomotion, your head will be over, should be in a normal moving human being that doesn't have a lot of stiffness or spine stiffness or anything like that. We should see the head shift over the planting foot. So the leg that's on the ground when you're walking, the head should actually be shifted over the plant foot, the foot that's on the ground, in a side bend. That's how you get there. So you can see here the head, as the plant foot right now is this back foot with Chris Davis. And what you're going to see is this side bend allows the hitter, as the new plant leg going to be, now some don't think that we plant into the front leg and swing, but that's what happens because we see the back leg unweight, as you see with Chris Davis. You can see that back foot, it's coming to the toe. The foot's not really coming off the ground, but you can see the foot skipping or dragging the back foot. So there's no weight on this back foot he's doing, and he's slamming it up against the front foot. But the head over foot technique is that this head has to, via side bend, get over the new plant leg, which is going to be the front one. Just like when we walk, the leg that's swinging through, the head goes from tilting away from that leg. As the swing leg starts to plant, the head will tilt over the new plant leg. It's the same idea when we hit. The head has to bend or side bend and get over the new plant leg. So that's with Chris Davis. You can see with Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s hitting mechanics. You can see a tougher view here to see that with him. He's a little out in front of this pitch too, by the way. You can tell on this 85-mile-an-hour curveball or whatever it was, breaking ball down in the zone. You can see that his head will go from the back, and it will, as he side bends, he will tilt his head over the front leg. That is the head over foot technique that David Weck talks about at Weck, W-E-C-K, weckmethod.com. The other how to build more power catapult loading system element that I want to talk about that Vlad Guerrero Jr. in the swing breakdown that he does, and Chris Davis, is the Scap Row, or what I call hiding the hands from the pitcher. So you can see Chris Davis does this beautifully. You can see his hands, pitcher can see his hands, and then as he goes into his bounce, you see he hides his hands from the pitcher, and you see this rear scapula, the back scapula starts to pinch, okay? Interesting that we see protraction of the front scapula, showing numbers, and we see retraction of the back scapula, hiding the hands. We see both of those. We don't see this one staying where it is. Same with Vlad Guerrero, although he's not pinching quite as much as Davis. You can see a majored pinch here on the left with Chris Davis versus Vlad Guerrero over here. He kind of more shows his numbers than gets the pinch. And you'll see kind of when I show a different view, when I show that last view I just showed, or that, you'll see his front arm shape. He's kind of showing still that bottom hand. So he's not getting much of the Scap Row per se and the Scap pinch, not hiding his hands quite as much as Davis, but you are seeing somewhat of a little one, maybe a neutral type of position. So that is the Scap Row, or hiding the hands from the pitcher. Now the second to last principle, catapult loading system, how to build more power principle, is the head, how stable the head is. And it's not whether the head's moving forward or not, it's actually the movement of the head. So if you think about a yes motion that you'd make with your head, or a no motion, or rolling your head where you take maybe your right ear and put it into your right shoulder. So you don't see that with elite hitters, not often. You see it in some. Bryce Harper's cleaning his up, he had more of a roll. His left ear goes into his left shoulder. You'll see Andrew McCutchen in the past, his past swings, like maybe 2-3 years ago, his chin used to go into his chest, so that no motion. We also see with younger hitters, we see the yes motion, but going up, and where the chin's not going into the chest, it's like the eyes or the bill of the cap's going towards the sky. So with the best hitters, you're going to see not too much. You can see with Chris Davis, maybe a little bit of chin into chest, but I think that's more of his back shoulder coming around and picking up. And Vlad Guerrero, same idea. You're not going to see roll at all. You don't see roll with either hitter. You see the same gap basically between the ears and the shoulders on both sides with both hitters. You don't see much roll. You could maybe argue that you're seeing a little bit more chin to chest, but if you take a view that is this view, what you see in a roll or a chin to chest is you'll see, and maybe a little bit Chris Davis is doing that here, but again, it could be argued that his shoulders coming up or his arms coming up, but you'll see this kind of rounding of the head and the upper back. You'll see this kind of really rounding part instead of it being a little bit more solid, like a little bit more. So we can see that it's a little bit more flat, like the back of the head and the back kind of line up, right? You see the back of the helmet and the back. Now he's reaching for this a little bit, but you're not seeing the head tilt forward where the chin's going into the chest. It's just like that back shoulder's coming around and catching what he's doing. So the one joint rule, we want to make sure our hitters are not rolling. They're not doing the yes motion, any of those motions where the bill goes up or the chin goes into the chest. The no motion is okay with the head to track, or the reverse no motion where the shoulders are moving under the head and we're swinging around our face. The last part I wanted to go over was the longer front arm shape. Now this is something that is kind of been transitioned out the last maybe 3 decades or so since the adjustable swing has been taught. So the idea to have a keep a slight bend in the front elbow and maintain that bend in the front elbow all the way to impact, or allow your front arm to be able to adjust to the pitch speed, the location, whatever. And what we like to see, that front arm shape, keeping it the same, keeping it longer. A couple things it does. One is you'll maximize batted ball distance, maximize ball exit speeds. We're finding between a 5 to 10 mile an hour increase in that front arm shape being longer. What tends to happen is hitters tend to show their numbers better. But you see a compound effect when we go into that. The second thing that happens is consistency of bat to ball contact. Now, a lot of these adjustable instructors will talk about, well, you need that slight bend in the elbow to be able to look away and adjust in. Well, if you look at Mike Trout, that his average ball exit speed up and in with a 90-degree bend in his front arm, or a chicken wing, his average ball exit speed is 80 miles an hour. His average ball exit speed down and away is 101 average, not top out. His top out's like 118. But his average is 101. So he is giving up with that chicken wing, shorter lever, 90 degree bend in his front arm, as you're going to see here with Vlad Guerrero. As he swings, he kind of maintains a bend the whole time. He's out in front of this pitch, so he ends up getting too straight with the front arm later in the swing. But he's not going to be able to have a consistently high ball exit speed with a lot of bending of that front arm. Again, go look back to the old players, the Ted Williams, the Babe Ruth, the Harmon Killebrews, the Mickey Mantles. They may not be locked out, some of them are, but they have a slight bend. They were trying to maximize batted ball distance. And then some will say, well, it was a different era. No, it's not. Maybe a couple miles an hour faster nowadays. Remember, they changed the radar guns where they're taking the radar readings out of the hand now, which is going to be the fastest from where it was coming over the middle of the plate, or coming over the plate. There's going to be a major change. There's going to be about a probably 4 mile per hour drop. I don't know the actual numbers, 2 to 4 maybe, or maybe 5 mile an hour drop, taking a radar reading at the plate versus out of the pitcher's hand. So pitchers may be throwing a little bit faster, but are you trying to tell me that a hitter like Ted Williams or Babe Ruth couldn't adjust to today's hitters? The front arms were longer. Nowadays, the adjustable swing is the only thing really being taught out there. There's few that are teaching a longer front arm. At least they don't know how to take that longer front arm and be able to get to inside pitches and high pitches, and that's what we talk about with our hitters, how to do that. But as you're going to see a couple different examples here, and I'm going to bring in Ted Williams. So you can see with Vlad Guerrero Jr. in the swing breakdown, you can see that he starts with a bend, pretty big bend, about 90 degrees, and he keeps that bend until he lengthens out on this ball. So typical adjustable type of swing. You can see Chris Davis, a little bit different. He starts off with a longer front arm shape. Remember, this was a 94 mile an hour fastball, about middle of the plate, and he was a little bit late on it. So he will bend to catch up. Again, this is evident of that adjustable type swing. And he will end up getting back to straight just past impact. So he's not maximizing or optimizing this batted ball distance here in this ball exit speed. He is giving up a little bit. Now, in the Mike Trout's case, giving up 21 miles an hour of ball exit speed is giving up 84 feet. If we're thinking conservatively, 4 feet of distance per 1 mile per hour ball exit speed. 84 feet is a lot to give up in an adjustable swing. We want to give up 4 to 12, no more than that. We don't want to give up ball exit speed for an adjustable swing. Because again, and Mike Trout would adjust. He would adjust to the higher fastballs if he started getting a higher diet of fastballs up than down and away. But pitchers haven't gotten privy yet to effective velocity principles that Perry Husband talks about and liquid analytics. But when the fastballs start dying out down below and they start appearing up and not as much, start seeing the soft stuff and breaking stuff down and away, it's going to be a lot harder to use that adjustable swing to be on time 100% of the time and be 100% swing effective. We're talking about being 100% on time, 100% swing effective. So you can see there's your two different approaches. You see looks like Chris Davis is kind of normal is to keep it straight and to maximize, but then he bends if he needs to, if he's a little late, and he bends a little bit. He might be giving up about 20 to 30 feet there just because of the bend. But he's trying to maximize versus Vlad Guerrero Jr., who is totally adjustable on this. Now let's take a look at Ted Williams. Now this isn't a game swing, and the other swing I'm going to show you is not a game swing, but I'd urge you to go check him out. Go on YouTube, go on Google Images, and just punch in Ted Williams hitting, and go look at some game film. You're going to see him barring out, just like he is on this one here. You can see he's got a darker sleeve here. You can see that arm, if not barred out, it's slightly bent as he's getting to this ball. You can see in a slightly younger Ted Williams over here off the tee, you can see, again, it's not game swing. I understand that, but you're going to see the front arm shape. Look at the shape that it takes off the tee. Again, I urge you, go YouTube, Ted Williams hitting, go to Google Images, Ted Williams hitting, and look at images of that front arm shape, and you're going to see it. And don't tell me that Ted Williams wouldn't be able to compete with the pitchers today and do as well as he did in the past. All right, in this video, just as a review, this Vlad Guerrero Jr. swing breakdown, we're talking about just before the 2019 MLB Home Run Derby, the principles, the Catapult Loading System principles of how to build a more powerful, consistent swing, consistent power. We talked about showing the numbers, downhill shoulders, hiding the hands from the pitcher, the one joint rule, and we ended with a longer front arm shape. Make sure that we're swinging smarter by moving better. And before I let you go,
the Hitting Performance Lab wants to know, did you know repeatable hitting power does not start in the hips? Have you heard the expressions, load and explode the hips? Power comes from the hips. Well, we created a free video revealing the results of a scientific study that will show you how we added 48 feet of batted ball distance instantly. And it's not all about the hips. Click here now to get the video while it's still free.